There may be hope for the survival of the republic. The rise in the number of independent voters in several states has been so sharp that they now virtually constitute a third party. And that's great news. It's not good news for the Democrats or the Republicans. It's really not good news for the Republicans. The New York Times reports that for more than 3 years now, there's been a steady decline in the number of voters registering as Republicans and an increase in the number registering as Democrats. These shifts could affect local, state, and national politics for several election cycles to come. Already, Republicans have lost control in many state houses and governor's mansions, and they took a beating, as you'll recall, in the midterm elections in 2006. It's important to note that swings in party registration are not uncommon from year to year, and party registration often has no impact on how people wind up voting in the end. But experts say what is remarkable is that this shift away from the Republican Party is now in its 4th year. One analyst says it suggests a fundamental change going on in the electorate. Former House Majority Leader Republican Dick Armey says these are, quote, not good numbers for the GOP. Nothing gets by Dick Armey. But cautions, Armey does, that they don't give a clear indication about what will happen in the presidential race. Armey suggests the key is who all these new independent voters will wind up supporting. Democrats point to President Bush as the main reason for the shift, but they're also benefiting from demographic changes, things like the rise in the number of younger voters and the urbanization of the suburbs. So here's the question. Republican voter registrations have been declining steadily since 2005. Why? Go to CNN.com/Cafferty file, post a comment on my blog. Question this hour is the Republican voter registrations have been declining ever since 2005. Why do you suppose that is? Derek writes from New York, in 2000, Republicans strayed away from issues that matter. After 8 years of the wildly popular Democrat in office, Bill Clinton, George Bush ran on social issues. Nobody bothered to ask whether he could manage the economy or deploy our military responsibly. But don't fret, once the Democrats clean up the mess, people will once again fall in love with the GOP siren song of lower taxes, less government. Chris in Ottawa writes, the GOP used to be a great party. They stood for small government, fiscal responsibility, non-interventionist foreign policy, no nation building. Unfortunately, they have allowed themselves to be hijacked by the neoconservative nitwits. Now Republicans stand for big government, record deficits, unending war, domestic surveillance, and telling Americans how to live their lives. As Ron Paul says, the party has lost its way. Odessa in Ohio. Well, Jack, there are some very decent Republicans, but they're very disappointed with Bush's failed policies and the Republican scams of the last 7 years. That's why the voter registration has been slipping. Now McCain is running. The entire GOP party is very sad. Gordon in New Jersey says this once proud party decays because the religious extremists and talk radio parroting classes have stolen the party's fiscally conservative and libertarian soul. They mock the Bill of Rights and will willingly trade liberty for the illusion of security. This increasingly corrupted Republican Party is nourished by fear and confounded by hope. Victor weighs in with, I recently switched parties after being a card-carrying Republican for 25 years. The reason? Republicans of late have become brainwashed flag wavers who support without questioning a man like Bush who's obviously incompetent and corrupt. The Republicans seem to count on its party members being unthinking sheep who will obey without consideration. And one more in the same vein, Mike in Michigan. The reason's a dirty 4-letter word, Bush. If you didn't see your email here, check my blog at cnn.com/Cafferty file. You might find it there.